Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the final chicane with me, Kristen Boylan. Hello, guys. I am well aware I'm a week late. It is the Saturday now, a week after the Sao Paulo Grand Prix, but I have a good reason, and I will tell you that reason. I don't know how long this episode is going to be because my timetable right now is quite hectic. I have an incredible amount to do today, and it's already 2:30 p.m. I'm a 7:30 a.m. riser. Like I am not a slow morning person as soon as I wake up. Like I'm not going back to sleep. And I got up at 11:30 a.m. today, so I think if anything that proves what hectic of a week I've had. But before I tell you why the episode was delayed this week and what I was doing and why I'm excited about that, let's do Riddle of the Week. I've driven through rain, sun, and snow in machines that are built to go. From Glasgow's streets to Monaco's glow, I chased the checkered flag fast and low. Through victories and near misses, I stood tall. Who am I who raced through it all? So who is that? Like always, I'll tell you the answer and the story behind the person after today's episode. Now let's get into today's episode. Oh, guys, I've had the craziest week, all to do with Formula One, which we love. I will also say, I know we're still in a different location. That is because I was too tired to carry all my stuff up to the attic where I usually film. So we're still here. I know you probably do prefer the other background. I sort of, look how pale I look right now. That is also because of my lighting. I'll apologise for the lighting, but I don't have time to get it right today. Why is this episode so delayed? Oh, I don't even know if I'm allowed to talk about this. I don't know, but no one told me that I couldn't, but I also didn't ask. Not purposely didn't ask, I was just so I just didn't think of asking. But I am going to talk about it, and if I'm not allowed to talk about it, then I will delete it because the last thing I want to do is annoy people. Months and months and months ago, probably back in September, I can't really remember exactly, I applied for a placement with Red Bull Racing. I applied for social media placement, and for months I didn't hear anything back. I just completely sort of forgot about it, because I just have so much college work going on and everything that it just slipped out of my mind. And then last Monday evening, so I was literally editing my podcast for the following day, and I got an email saying, "Hi Kristen, any chance you're free to do an interview over Teams with Red Bull tomorrow morning?" So obviously, when that happens, your first emotion is always panic. I was like, oh my God, I have a few hours to prepare for an interview for for 100% the most important interview ever, because I've never even done a job interview before. So yeah, that was quite a panic, but an excited panic. So then on Tuesday I did my job interview. It was quite a busy day on Tuesday. I had physio in the morning, so then I had to go do the job interview after, but I got a massage, so I was sort of relaxed for it. I was ready to go, and I met with two people from Red Bull's social media team. Can I just say, the two nicest people ever. I was so nervous, but it was just so fun. It felt like talking to friends who are really smart and know a lot about Red Bull and social media. And I really actually enjoyed the interview. And my mom was telling me in the morning, she was like, yeah, just, enjoy the interview, whatever. I was like, girl, it's a job interview. I'm not going to enjoy it. And although I was so nervous, I really enjoyed it. I was so nervous that I brought up Little Mix twice in a job interview that had nothing to do with Little Mix. I don't even know how I managed to do that. I guess Little Mix, I think I explained it here before how I got into Formula One was through Little Mix performing at Silverstone. But yeah, and then I brought up Little Mix again, and I was like, sorry, I've just brought them up twice. I was so embarrassed afterwards. They hate Little Mix. I was like, girl, not getting this placement if they hate Little Mix. So yeah, then I managed to put it out of my head, I was still buzzing about it because I just talked to Red Bull social media managers, and in my opinion, Red Bull have one of the best social media platforms going in the game, and their whole sort of strategy I've always admired from a social media standpoint. So even talking to the people behind that and getting like insights into what that's like and working like that was so incredible. So I really enjoyed that. So yeah, just as I was about to go out on Thursday night, I got an email from Red Bull saying, following your interview, we'd like to invite you to Milton Keynes on Monday, so 4 days later, for a marketing assessment day. I personally think the very limited amount of time was like part of it to see, like, hopefully to see who's really passionate about it, and everything like that. But I think everyone there was very passionate about it. As far as I know, everyone showed up. So obviously that was another panic mode because I wasn't even at home. So I was calling my dad and my mum and my sister who lives in England. And I was like, I need to get to England for Monday. And I figured out if I could go over Monday morning, had to be there 8:30 a.m. So they were also requesting information, like they wanted like a passport style picture and everything like that. So I was like, no, I need to get ready to go out and then I'll take a picture. So right before I was going out, I took a picture to send them. Yeah, I was giving them all that information. So basically before I went out, I confirmed that I could go. And this was obviously before I had anything prepared to go or booked or planned or anything like that. So I called my sister. She lives in Charlbury. So she was like, yeah, you can stay with us. Arthur, my sound engineer, actually my sister's friend and sound engineer, was offered to drive me up on the Monday morning, so I'd come on the Sunday. I had a busy weekend in Ireland as well, for that weekend as well, not on Sunday, which was fine. Yeah, I organised how to get there, and then, oh my god, the next day after I got home, because I stayed away that night, I was then looking at the flights and they were so expensive. They were like 300 one way to Birmingham, which is a 40-minute flight. And I was panicking a little. I was like, this is my dream job, but this is also very expensive. But we did find one that was probably like 250 altogether, which was fine. I mean, still very expensive for Birmingham without like a bag or anything, but it was worth it, trust. So yeah, so I flew out then on Sunday. They sent me a few things to prepare. So they asked me to prepare a 10-minute presentation on like a social media concept. I won't go too much into what I did. And then they also just gave me some questions to look at for the one-on-one interview. So basically what I got invited to was a marketing assessment day. We don't do that in Ireland. That's not a thing. I'd never even heard of it. I just assumed that was just a Red Bull thing. But then when I got there, which I'll explain, I'm sort of jumping ahead of myself. A lot of the people there were obviously English or went to college in England, so they sort of knew what that was. So yeah, it was quite the get-go from there. I was obviously very excited, but nervous, and especially with the stress of like having to travel to a different country, it was quite stressful. But yeah, so then I arrived in Sunday. I was actually going to miss qualifying Saturday night, but it got rescheduled, so I had to fly over really early on the Sunday, obviously, because that was the cheapest flight, and I ended up being able to watch qualifying then while I was waiting for my train, which got delayed twice. So I was trying to figure out my way from Birmingham to Charlbury, and the trains kept getting cancelled that I needed from my station, and there was only like one an hour, so like I waited an hour, then 7 minutes before it got cancelled. So I'm not sure what is up with that in the UK, why your trains be getting cancelled so much. So then I had to make my way to a different train station, and it was like, honestly, that part was quite stressful as well, just like trying to get to my sister's house. But it was fine. I got to explore Oxford a bit and me time before the hectic day that was to come. And yeah, obviously I got to my sister's house and the race was pushed up, so I just got there in time for the race. And then yeah, we watched the race together, and it was quite, well, I'll talk about the race later, maybe. Depends how much I keep babbling on about this. But yeah, so then Monday morning, got up. Obviously, I had to get up quite early. I got up, I think, like 5:30 or something. We had to be there for 8:30, and the traffic is quite bad coming from there to Milton Keynes. So Arthur, had to get up really early, and then he also had to be back for work, which was lucky because I would have been late if we hadn't left early anyway. So he got up to drop me. He drove me to Milton Keynes, which, like, I think I just couldn't have handled trying to get there myself that morning because I was so nervous. Like, I've never been to Milton Keynes. I've never been to any of the Formula One headquarters factories before. So I got there. It's actually pretty cool because, like, they asked me for his registration before I got there. So then, like, we drove in and the barrier lifted without us having to talk to anyone, which, like, felt like, obviously that was just for the day. But yeah, then I went in all by myself because I'm a big girl now. And the receptionist, who I had some contact with before, was super lovely as well. So that calmed me down a bit. Everyone there was so nice. And I, just sat down. There was, I don't know how many groups of people there were there. I can't really remember now. There might have been like 6. And in each group, there was 4 people. So one group would have been social media, which is what I was in. There was fan engagement. There was a businessy one that I, for some reason, haven't been able to remember the name of since I left. And it's, like, not a hard name. You know, you ever just get those moments. There was, like, analysis, you know, different job roles like that. Hospitality. And so there was 4 people from who were invited to Milton Keynes from each group. They also told us that there was over 2,000 applications altogether. There was like 10 or something people who got invited for the Zoom interviews, and then 4 got chosen once again to go to Milton Keynes. So even if that's as far as you get, that's still quite a thing to be proud of, I think, because Red Bulls, they don't take hiring, you know, too easily. Like, they're very serious about their brand, which is good and nice. So I was quite proud of myself to have even made it that far to the last stage, the marketing assessment day. I've actually forgotten what the room is called, but we got brought into the room with all of the cars. I feel like it's the room. I think it's the room that they filmed that's the only thing I can think about the entire day, on the sofa with Max and Daniel. Like, I was just like, where's the sofa? Get the sofa in here. Where's Max and Daniel? But it was just such an experience. Like, I was trying to, like, talk to everyone there, and then, like, but also I couldn't stop looking at the cars. And then they had, like, the simulator thing, the game, F1 23, 24, whatever it was, there as well. Like, it was just such an experience. Like, I walked into that room and I was like, yeah, no. Like, if I get this or not, I have to make sure this isn't the last time that I'm going to be here, because this is where I need to spend my days. It was also the Monday, obviously, after race week, so it was and after Max win, the atmosphere there was so good. Surprisingly, quite a lot of people there, or a few anyway, that I talked to, didn't actually know anything about Formula One, or a lot. So it was very open, I guess, to just people who were studying that. I guess maybe UK unis do a lot of placement or something like that, not as common in Ireland, or maybe not as big of a sort of deal in Ireland. But for me, to get this Red Bull placement would have been like the biggest deal in the world, because that's a dream come true for me. So yeah, we started off, they gave us a bit of an introduction, and then we got asked to plan a Grand Prix just for fun, just so they could see like how we collaborate with each other and our presentation skills, sort of stuff like that. So we were all planning different aspects of it. Like, we were all helping in different ways, not just hospitality. Like, I was pitching some ideas for hospitality, and other people were saying ideas that could be good for social media and like partners and everything like that. And then we had to present it in front of all of the heads of each section where people were interviewing for the placements. So that was fun. You also get free Red Bull. They have Red Bull fridges everywhere. So we got free Red Bull. I was too nervous to have any at the start, because I was like, I'll literally have a crash if I have any right now. Oh, we also got free Red Bull merch. Do you want to see? So we had like seats with their names on them. So it says, you can't even see, can you? Come on, focus. It says my name there. So not only did we get the cutest Red Bull rucksack, I got a Chaco Miami hat. Like, how lucky can a girl be to get the Miami pink version of this hat? These hats are expensive as well, so this was iconic. I obviously I only had a very small bag with me on the plane, so I did get a bit of makeup on it because my liquids bag opened while I was traveling. But like, what a cute hat this is. I am genuinely obsessed. I wasn't even expecting to get anything, and then they had little bags for us. How sweet is that? They didn't even have to do that. And they kept like reiterating that if this is the furthest we get, that's still something to be very proud of. They just have such a great work environment there. Then, sorry, I got this dirty like during the day and I have no idea how. They gave me a red notebook. Oh. And I love my notebooks. I obviously have my notebook, so this might be my notebook for next season for my race reviews. They gave us our own like timetable for the day. So yeah, introduction, group activity, break, interview, downtime, lunch and networking, presentation, downtime, break, outro, tour. So the first part of am I done? No. So we got this. I actually have to put this on something. I think my purse or my bag, but they gave us a Red Bull keychain. Like, I just love getting stuff like this. No one understands how excited it makes me. I got some Visa Cash App RBR stickers from Singapore. There's a few missing because I put them onto my laptop already. But so cute. The denim sort of livery one. Obviously a very painful race that was for Daniel fans, but that's okay. This is more like an embroidery sort of patch, which I might sew on to one of my hats. And then this New Year Austin, Texas pin, which I don't know why, but I am sort of obsessed with that. Like, how nice of them to give us that was that. And yeah, then they gave us some free Red Bull as well, but obviously I couldn't bring that on the plane, so we drank that night. So then I had my interview. So this was my first ever like face-to-face job interview ever, so I was quite nervous about it. I was in, I think it was the Weber room, so Mark Webber room. So it's a room in that big main room with all the cars. It's just a room to the side that has like Weber design. So that was pretty cool to be in that room even. And I had my interview with Red Bull social media and Visa Cash App RBR social media. Again, it literally just felt like you were talking to like your really smart like friends, because they're so nice. Like, I don't know if it's just like English people are just really, really nice, because I do know English people are nice mainly, but these people were so friendly. And I went in there and I was just so at ease, and I felt like I could just talk about Formula One and my experiences with Formula One and why I'm passionate about it, like, so honestly and freely. And I feel like usually you have to put on some sort of fake persona sort of for a job interview. Maybe I should have done that, but I didn't do that. I brought up Little Mix 3 more times. How do I manage to bring up Little Mix in everything I do? But I was like, I brought up Little Mix mentioning how I brought them up last time. I was like, oh my god, I can't believe I brought up Little Mix twice, like, I'm sorry. And then I brought them up again, unrelated, to talk about something else. I somehow brought up the XL bully ban. If you follow me on Instagram, I probably post about that a bit, but I'm very much against a lot of the XL bully ban in Ireland, and mainly the euthanization part of it, and the like how hard it is for them to be rehomed. Well, they can't really be rehomed, and kennels and everything like that. They asked me what I did in my spare time, and sort of campaigning for like, I just care a lot about animals, so that's sort of all I do in my spare time, and trampolining. Mentioned dance moms. Someone needs to teach me how to do an interview, because what on earth did I need to bring up dance moms for? Like, I get why I brought it up, because it was to do with like how I got into social media and everything like that, but like, I have no idea if they were just listening to me like, girl, please talk about something relevant. But if they were like that, they definitely didn't show it, because they were just so nice to talk to. Like, every time I see Red Bull posts, I'm just like, it could be like one of the people that I was talking to. It's like, yeah, and again, I was getting more insights into that, and like they were telling me about how, the statement made tweets, about how that came about and how like stuff like that. I'm guessing I'm able to tell you this. I don't want to tell you anything that like I'm not supposed to be telling you though, obviously. But yeah, everyone needs to stop commenting mean things under Red Bull's Instagram because those social media people do not deserve it. They're so nice. So yeah, then I got a little lunch break. They provided free lunch because of course they did, because they're so sweet. And yeah, I had like some sandwiches and then like a brownie thing as well. And I was just talking to the other girls for so long that the break just went by so fast. And then it was time for presentation because the other people there, like I made friends with someone doing hospitality, someone doing fan engagement, and I was like, look, if I don't get this, and it was sort of good that we aren't in the same group going against each other, because I was like picturing in my head, I was like, this would work out if we were all doing placement at the same time, you know? Yeah, we were just gossiping about like TikTok, F1 drama and everything like that, which was a lot of fun. And then it was time for my presentation. So I had my presentation with someone that I did my first interview with. So the Zoom interview. So another Red Bull social media. So I did my social media interview with a man and a woman. And it was the man then, just the man that I was doing the presentation with. Again, such a sweet guy as well. Like, they're so funny as well. Like, they're just so real, I feel like, everyone in that. And honestly, for most of that, we were just, I brought up Little Mix and Dance Moms again. But he watched Dance Moms, he knew what I was talking about, and I was like, the respect, can't even explain it. And then, yeah, we were talking about, obviously, Formula 1 a bit. And then it was actually time for my presentation. So we were talking, like I was just blabbering on. I ran out a bit of time to actually do my presentation. So I sort of rushed through it. I was just presenting like my social media pitch idea for like a social media concept that they gave me. And yeah, so I sort of rushed through that a little. So actually, the presentation was probably what I was most nervous about because I didn't really know what they were expecting exactly. And yeah, but that did go all right. And then I was very relaxed after the presentation because then I had the whole day to just sort of enjoy being there and take pictures of what I could and everything like that. There's quite a lot you can't take pictures of, which is completely fair. Also, in the hallway going into Red Bull, they have Daniel's, it's like an AlphaTauri livery car. And like that set my nerves. So I was like, Daniel. We may be on rocky terms with Red Bull management over Daniel. But God, I love that team. Yeah, during my presentation, actually, like I was explaining why I chose like questions that you could ask Max, and I was like, like if you ask Max to name like his friends on the grid, then you're also like attracting that sort of fan base to watch the video as well. And I was like, that. So say if he says like Daniel, and then I paused and I was like, never mind, can't say Daniel, he's not on the grid or whatever, which was so awkward. Though he didn't make it awkward when I said that, but I was like, don't bring up Daniel. In my head, I was like, don't bring up Daniel. We don't know how they feel about Daniel. And I brought him up a few times. So yeah, and then we had to leave the main room because Christian Horner then came to do his debrief on Monday with the entire team. Obviously, we're not employees, so we can't stay for that. But we were just lucky to even be in that building. And they were getting like the champagne. Like those employees are treated so well. They care so much about like employee mental health and thanking their employees and making sure their employees feel like they're all contributing, which they are. I mean, that's just what I've got from my one conversation with Amy from Red Bull last year or earlier this year, and just being there myself this year. So yeah, then we went on a tour of the entire place. It's incredible. It's so big. There's so many different buildings. We went into the room with all of the trophies, and I was just like, I could literally stand here all day just looking at these trophies packed up in the shelves. And then they've like this cute, cool like Red Bull fridge that you have to like put your hand, and then it just opens itself, and then you just take a Red Bull. Sorry, that just reminds me of the room we were in. It was really fun, and they took us for a tour around the factories and showed us where people would watch the race from, like marketing and media and the actual people there who were giving feedback back to the people actually at the racetrack. So that was very special to see. I honestly didn't take that much pictures because I was like, no, I'll be here again. Like, I'll make sure of it somehow. If I don't get the placement, like, I'm gonna find a way to be back here. So that's what me and some of the girls were like. We're like, let's not. We need to appreciate this moment because it could be the last time we ever see any of this. But also, like, everyone there definitely deserves like the placement. They're all so smart. They all know. A lot of them know a lot about Formula One, and yeah, I think Red Bull are in good hands with their placements next year because it was just so nice being with all of the placement students. So yeah, we got that tour, which was incredible, and then had to find my way out of Milton Keynes. It's a very industrial place, so we got a taxi to the train station. Then I got a bus to this place that I absolutely pronounced wrong. I was like telling one of the girls, I was like, oh, this is where I have to go to, and they were like, what? And apparently that's not how you pronounce it. I can't even remember what it was. What is a place? I think it begins with B that just isn't pronounced how it looks. Bicester. Bicester. That's where I was going. I was like, oh, I have to go to Bicester. And they were like, no, that's Bicester. But I knew that, but I had learned how to say it. So when I told the bus driver where I was going, I said Bicester, which was a bit less embarrassing. I was also so hyped for my day that I made friends with the bus. Not with the bus. I made friends with people on the bus because I heard a girl was moving around using the USBs trying to find somewhere for her to charge her phone. And then I think an American man who I actually asked getting on the bus, I was like, do you need to book tickets for this? Because online it says you need to book tickets, and it said there were no tickets available. And he was like, I hope not, because I haven't booked one anyway. And we got on anyway. It was £2. Don't know why. That's so cheap. And I was like, oh, I have a power bank if you want to use it. So we're all using my power bank on the bus, like just wires coming out everywhere. It was very wholesome because I was just in a good mood. And my confidence had skyrocketed, I think. Like, I felt confident in my own abilities. And I'm a very nervous person. But I feel like regardless if I get the placement or not, that has probably really helped my confidence in that sort of area. Like, I even made phone calls when I could have emailed, the week after, because like I needed sort of to sort things out like straight away. And I was like, no, you know what, I'm gonna call. But yeah, I spent the evening, so we were there until 8:30 to like 3:30 or 3, and then I went to Bicester Village, which was nice, and then we got Domino's. My Arthur picked me up and we got Domino's and we chilled for the rest of the evening. And then I was on a red eye out to Ireland and straight into college from the airport the next morning. So it was quite hectic, but my favourite experience of the year. And like, I just love when something makes you that nervous and it turns out really good and it just feels like so worth it. So I find out on Monday, basically, if I got the placement or not. I think out of 4, 1 is picked. Potentially 2, but I think 1. I think that's what other people said anyway. I didn't ask. For some reason, the questions just left. I didn't have time really for questions after the first in-person interview. But honestly, I couldn't even think of any at that point because I was just so like... Because I just wanted to keep talking about the conversations that we were having. And then I asked some questions in the second one. Yeah, I hope I was allowed to say all of that. And that, because no one, like, obviously if someone told me not to, I absolutely wouldn't. I wanted to make this episode before I found out about if I got the placement or not, because regardless of if I get it or not, my opinion on the day isn't going to change. Like, it was such a special day. And yeah, just such a great experience, So I would suggest if anyone out there is ever thinking of applying for Red Bull or to do a placement in Red Bull, just go for it. And if I get it, trust, I'll be moving to England next year. Actually, even if I don't get it, I probably will move. I'm going to move away next year either, and it will probably be England. It might be Spain though. I don't know. But yeah, I'm going to keep my fingers crossed because I do want it a lot. But also, if I don't get it, I know that I did my best and that the other people in my group are incredibly smart and great at what they do as well. So, and yeah, so that was why basically an entire podcast episode on why the podcast was an entire week late. But it probably won't happen again. Might happen again. I don't know. Even if I get this placement, they might be like, yeah, you can't do your podcast. And to be honest, the podcast would have to go because I only started this podcast to and as much as I enjoy it, I did start it to get my foot in the door a bit to Formula One. But you know what? I might not get it. So the podcast might be safe yet. Do we want to talk about the race a bit? I won't do my usual rundown because we're obviously this episode is already quite long, but we've got a new Formula One driver confirmed for the grid next year, Gabriel Bortoleto. He's a Formula 2 driver and a McLaren development driver, but he is driving in Sauber next year, which means that obviously we have to say goodbye to Bottas and Joe. I will say the posts that Sauber posted announcing that they were going, I thought they might be gone mid-season. Well, not even mid-season, 3 races to go or whatever it is, because of the way that they announced it. But as far as I know, Bottas and Joe are staying for the rest of the season because it would make absolutely no sense to put anyone in that car right now for the last 3 races, especially given the car being the slowest on the field this year. I don't think it was too much of a surprise. It's very sad, especially to see Bottas go, because he's had a really good career. Luckily, he's got his time in, backfield cars, midfield car, and obviously one of the best cars, if not the best, on the grids. And he has proved himself in that time. But I think, and his announcement to going and him posting what's next, because that's obviously what people are asking him, and he was just sort of joking, making a video about that. I just love Bottas so much. And Bottas and Joe, they're just the perfect teammates, I think. Joe, it's so special for Joe to be in the sport, the first Chinese driver in the sport. He had a nice weekend in China as well this year, so it was very special. There's only so much you can do in that car, and yeah, it's not really surprising they want to give a rookie a chance. A lot of people, considering that we had no rookies in Formula 1 last year, there's a lot of rookies in it. Another thing which is quite worrying is that it also looks like Alpine might be backtracking on their decision to keep Jack Doohan, or to go with Jack Doohan for next year. They seem to be really looking to get Franco Colapinto. That has been quite widely suggested this year. Would be absolutely heartbreaking for Jack Doohan because he hasn't even gotten his chance. He's been out of it for a bit and he's so ready to just get his chance in Formula 1 now. Yeah, Franco is incredible. Absolutely 1000% deserves a seat in Formula 1 next year, but also Jack could be like that too. We don't know. So I think stick with Jack, give him a chance. Franco, if one of the rookies or if someone isn't performing well next year, Franco is going to be in a seat realistically. So yeah, I'd say keep Jack anyway. Give him a chance. Probably not the best race weekend to not have a full-on review about it because so much happened and it was really an incredible race. Kevin Magnussen was out for the weekend. He was ill, so he was replaced by Ollie Behrman. Kevin did sort of say that he regretted not being in the race on Sunday because I think he would just thrive in those conditions, and he said that Hulk texted him saying that they could have really done with him and everything like that. But Ollie did have an impressive weekend as well, and he did what he can. The toughest conditions, especially at a track like Interlagos, so very impressive from Ollie, and I'm very excited to see him in Formula 1 next year. Powers and Hamilton did deal with quite a lot of struggles this weekend. They're both out early in the sprint quali. Snowda also not as promising as it previously looked for the start of the weekend. Obviously that changed with actual qualifying. I had missed the very end of qualifying because the signal went, because I was on the train at this point and the signal went. So I missed the last few minutes of Q3, and then when the train stopped and I finally got signal again, I was like, Yuki P3, loss in P5, What have I missed? So obviously I had to rewatch qualifying. I missed the sprint race actually. Guess what? I had to trade in my mini microphone and light on Saturday for my Irish dancing brain. So I went to the Irish dancing on Saturday for the entire day. It was the Ulster Championships. And guess what? My cousin won. Ellen won. Like, it was so special. It was the first fest that I'd been to in since I quit dancing myself years and years and years ago. And I'm always watching them on Fesh TV. And to get to see them dance in person as well was so special. And then my cousin ended up winning. She got 2 huge trophies. That was very impressive. Everyone say well done to Ellen. And my other cousin, Sarah, she danced beautifully. She's in the toughest age group in the entire of Irish dancing as well. So I'm just so proud of them both. Gorgeous. So like, yeah, it is like a driver again. P1, who wouldn't usually get P1. Standing on that podium, like so special. You don't just get Formula 1 here, you get Irish dancing too. I give you it all. The race, Stroll, poor Stroll, crashed out on the formation lap. Spun out on the formation lap, but then got stuck in the gravel and couldn't continue, which then caused that confusion for lights out. I'm surprised there was no actual penalty given, like a time penalty given. But then again, it didn't. Am I that surprised though? Because I guess it didn't, like. I mean, I just think starting infringements are just such a tight set bang 5-second penalty rule. And we've seen that Perez obviously got that penalty as well for his starting infringement. He would have been borderline Lando getting a penalty. But also, I think that if Lando got a penalty, they would all sort of have to get a penalty, because regardless if Lando did it first, they all broke the rule. And there's some drivers who didn't. Like, it would be a different story if everyone did it, but there were some drivers who were like, the light isn't green, I'm not going to go. So that was interesting. Yeah, good race from Visa Cash App RB. They started very well, and yeah, they ended up finishing quite well too. Again, I don't think Yuki is getting the credit that he deserves. I think Christian was like, yeah, Yuki had a good race, but Lawson, like, no, Yuki had a brilliant race. He finished ahead, so what's that about? I feel like the rest of the season for me is just going to be like, start being nicer to Yuki, everyone, please. Hulk got disqualified because he spun in because he went off and the marshals no one is allowed to physically touch the car, else you're out of the race. So then he was disqualified after he got pushed back onto the track during, I think, was it Franco's virtual safety car crash? But yeah, Esteban and Pierre. God, there was no one I would have rather be on that podium that race. The Alpines deserved it so much. From where they were at the start of the season, slowest car on the grid, undoubtedly, getting everything that they could out of the car, and it's still being P20 and P19, both of them quite similar as well. Like, and especially for Esteban to have held off Max for that long and to have kept it so clean in the rain was just so incredible. And I'm so proud of Esteban, and I feel like he just deserves all that appreciation. Gasly too, like the teamwork there, the way that they've been like fighting each other all season, and like the vibes have been not great, and then all of a sudden like they loved each other after, and they're like, after everything we've been through, us getting on it together is so special. Like, I just love that. I love that so much. And that Alpine position, if they manage to keep that position, that's an extra 50 million pounds, euro, I don't know, which, yeah, but really an incredible race from Max, one of his best races in my opinion. He just really showed us what he's made of, I guess, and just one of those races that was really incredible to watch. One of the races where it's like, okay, we got it, can we just drive now? Like, we've went so long, apart from the last race, without like safety cars or red flags even, and then they all just threw them at us in Brazil. Very entertaining, but like, I was also like, no, like, I need to see this racing with like the grid so mixed up, you know. But it was a very good race, and yeah, any drama after the race? Not too much drama after the race, which was good. I was expecting some like penalties and everything, but that didn't actually happen. which was nice. The standings didn't really change that much. One thing was we had Seb at the track this weekend. I don't know if you saw the pictures of him in that huge helmet with all the other drivers. And they basically, over the weekend, started a GPDA, Grand Prix Drivers Association Instagram page, and this is the statement that they put out. All of the drivers followed this on Instagram and liked it and some commented. Basically, they put out a statement regarding driver misconduct. So they said quite a lot. Some of it is, with regards to swearing, there's a difference between swearing intended to insult others and more casual swearing, such as you might use to describe bad weather or indeed an inanimate object, such as a Formula 1 car driving situation. So true. The swearing thing is a little ridiculous to me. We urge the FIA president to also consider his own tone and language when talking to our member drivers, or indeed about them, whether in a public forum or otherwise. Further, our members are adults. They do not need to be given instruction via the media about matters as trivial as the wearing of jewellery and underpants. They also asked for more openness about where the money from the fines are going to, which is absolutely right. Where is that money going to? Yeah, they just sort of asked for more transparency and more working together. And I think it was a really great put together thing. I think probably Seb and George probably had the main role in that, and all of the drivers agreed. All of the drivers are on the same page with all of that sort of stuff, so that's good. Kept you here so long, and I have an essay to write, so I'll do riddle of the week and then I'll leave you. So the answer of riddle of the week this week is David Coulthard. The David Coulthard room is actually the room that I did my presentation in, so that's why I picked him this weekend. So David, he's widely regarded in Formula 1 for his longevity in the sport. He was born in March 1971 in, I will try pronounce that name, Twineholm, Scotland. And he began his racing career in karting before, like usual, like many, progressing to the junior formulas. He debuted in F1 in 1994 with Williams. He gained prominence as a test driver for McLaren in 1996 before being promoted to a race seat in 1997. He raced for McLaren, securing a number of podiums and wins, including probably one of his most memorable victories at the 2003 Monaco Grand Prix. He became one of the most reliable drivers on the grid. In 2005 then, he joined Red Bull Racing as their first ever driver. Imagine being like a team's first ever driver. It's pretty cool. And he did really help to establish the team in F1, and that's why he's like such a spokesperson for Red Bull now, I guess, and he takes part in a lot of the show runs and everything. He raced for Red Bull until 2008, retiring with 13 Grand Prix wins and 62 podiums. After retiring, he transitioned to a successful career as a commentator and analyst, sharing his insights with viewers around the world. So yeah, a very incredible career that is still going. He's still kept in Formula 1, just in a different way, and he's still racing cars every now and again. Or driving racing cars anyway. That was today's episode. Yeah, I'm a bit nervous about Monday, but what happens, and it's okay. Next Grand Prix is Las Vegas. I will be back to update you on everything then. I hope you enjoyed this episode. I'm sorry if you just were hoping for more of an analysis into the Grand Prix this weekend and you just got me talking about my own life for an hour. But yeah, I will see you for the Las Vegas Grand Prix, so I have a nice little time off, reassess everything while we wait for the next Grand Prix, and get ready for the last few races because they are going to be crazy. Goodbye.